M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
This is our follow-up interview with Benjamin Banks. We talked to Benjamin, I think it was episode 7. I just looked on Skype, Benjamin. It was April last time we talked, so it's 3 months later. So how are you doing today anyway?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just chilling right now. I worked earlier, and now I'm just relaxing. I'm going to the gym later on, like after I rest. So I'm really tired.
Uh-huh.
I'm sore.
Oh,
I've been working out a lot, so yeah.
I hear you on that one, yeah.
That's how it is sometimes.
And we got an extra person with us today. I know you can see us because we're talking on Skype. So we got Jackson here with us today as well. This is actually now we're going to go technical, Jay. We're recording. We've got Skype on. We've got 2 different screens. Matt Willis has asked that I record this next section. So this is for your benefit, Matt. Okay. All right. Now we know, Benjamin. You know that Jackson has his own little songs that he likes to sing, right? Because we tagged you in one of the posts. Now he's actually got a special one for you. So he's going to do his live versions, or he's going to try and do his live versions. All right. Do you want to do your first song? Benjamin doesn't know you're going to do this one at all. Do you remember the first word? Go ahead.
Happy.
Go on. Keep singing. Happy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to yeah. Benjamin.
You're too quiet though, buddy. He can't hear when you do that. He was practicing earlier. He wanted to say, whose birthday is it today, Jackson? Who are you trying to say happy birthday to?
Mama Baby.
Mama Banks, that's right. That's what he was trying. He was trying to, and then I think he got confused because we got like 7 different screens going on at once. But we did see on Facebook that it was your mama's birthday today, so we know that he can sing happy birthday, so he did want to say happy birthday. All right. Do you want to try your? I know you're getting super tired now. Do you want to try your second song? Can you do Benjamin Banks' song live for us?
Benjamin Banks. Benjamin Banks. Benjamin Banks. Benjamin Banks. Benjamin Banks.
All right, that's the second one. I didn't realise that it was sung to the tune of Addams Family last time. I don't know if that's.
I realized that when he started singing it.
And I think you got a third song as well. And I think that you might have done like a lot of singers do. They tend just to basically repeat the first song that they do and just change the words a little bit. Can you do Diamond Victor Griff's song as well for us? Oh, we got the diamond there as well. Look at that. There we go. All right, but can you do the song though? Have you been practicing that one? I don't really know the Diamond Victor Griff song because you don't sing that one as much.
Daddy, I can't see Diamond Victor.
You can't. No, Diamond Victor Griff's not there. It's just Benjamin. But that's his wrestling partner. No, he's not there today. But you will get to see him in about 10 days' time, I think it is. So do you want to save that song for later then?
Uh-huh.
All right. As you're getting ready for bed, you want to say night-night to Benjamin?
Night-night, Benjamin. Hi, Benjamin.
You want to give him the pinky one more time?
Hey, thank you for singing the song. Thank you, sir.
All right.
I like that.
There you go. All right. Good job, buddy. Night-night, buddy. Love you. He really wanted to come and say hi to you before we started, so we tried to get that one in.
That was cool. That that he sang the song. That I want to let my mom know that he sang the happy birthday song for her.
And I told you I mentioned on social media as well, he was very excited when he saw Scooby-Doo feature in the Pinky Society. And he said he wanted to watch that as his video tonight. So he's going to be very disappointed when he realizes that that's not real.
Oh, man.
But no, he's a blast. He got a kick out of that. Now, last time we talked to you, we really didn't know you very well. We'd seen you wrestle at the tryout show, the Sink and Swim at Nova Pro. And that was pretty much it. We'd interacted a couple of times on Twitter. We'd mentioned that we thought you were one of the better acts at the show, and Nova Pro should invite you back. And that was pretty much it. We tried to find some stuff out of you on the internet, and we were basically trying to learn a lot more about you. Now, since that, a lot's happened, which is why we wanted to do a follow-up show. So we got a few things. I'm going to get Mason to chime in a little bit as well, because I feel like I'm going to be dominating the conversation otherwise. So you returned to Nova Pro, and if I remember correctly, you might have known that, but you perhaps weren't allowed to tell us, because I think it was like the day after we'd had our interview, or a day after we put out our episode, you mentioned, hey, I'm going to be coming back to Nova Pro. So do you want to talk us through that then, Mason? So what did Benjamin do at Nova Pro?
So the second time he came to Nova Pro, he teams up with Diamond Victor Griff against Harry Zen and Bobby Orlando, who we saw earlier at the tryout show too.
Correct.
And yeah, they had a triple threat match, and Harry Zen and Bobby Orlando were actually fighting each other, and now they're teaming up together, which is kind of weird.
Harry Zen, yes, Harry Zen was in a triple. I thought you meant that Benjamin was in the triple threat. I got you. Yes, they were in a tag team. The thing I remember is, and I'm going to get your impression as well, Benjamin. I remember Diamond Victor Griff. Well, you guys came out as heel straight away, which we weren't expecting because you'd been the good guys pretty much last time. We tried to do the Golden Pinky, and we got chastised by Griff for doing it wrong. I was like, oh no, what have we done here? And you even took Bobby Orlando's goat and did you didn't. Griff took Bobby Orlando's goat and actually did an elbow on it after the match. So it was a real hot time. What can you remember about the match? Give us your insight.
I thought that the match was pretty fun. That we got to beat up Bobby Orlando, Harry Zen. I did chop him a lot in the match, so I'm pretty sure that I chopped some of the hair off of his chest. But yeah, it was really cool. Me and Griff, we're pretty versatile, so it's like we wrestle as face and heel. We can do either or. We prefer to wrestle as heels though, because we get to talk a little bit more smack, and we get to rile people up a lot more. And so it was cool that we got to do that. And then, like you said, we beat up Bobby Orlando. Well, not beat up his goat. Griff, I guess you could say Griff killed his goat.
It looked like it. Now, I think I posted, I'm going back now, this is probably 2.5 months ago. I actually think I put that the goat was actually playing a possum, because we went to his merch stand later, and he looked like he was perfectly okay. Mason got his picture next to Bobby Orlando Jr. So yeah, he actually recovered pretty quickly from that one, and I know I've seen him in future events since. So I know a cat has 9 lives. I'm not quite sure how many that goat has, but it certainly seemed to have survived that as well.
Yeah, well, goats probably have like 12 lives, or they have 13 lives.
And I know the other cool thing was, certainly for Mason, well, certainly for both of us, afterwards, we got to meet you, and we got our pictures, and you did show us how to do the pinkies up. So Mason knows how to do that now. Seems we got it wrong last time, and I know that's one of our pictures that we have. Actually, that's one of the pictures I have on Facebook.
I noticed when you and Diamond Victor Griff put the pinkies together, it looks like a diamond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never realized that. Next time we do it, like, I want to have to look at it, and I want to mention this to him as well. He said when we put the pinkies together.
And I didn't notice that either. He mentioned it while we were doing our walk together, and I was like, oh. And then Jackson picked up on it straight away as well and repeated exactly the same fact, trying to steal it for himself. That's kind of cool that those two things are linking together like that. That was the second time that we saw you. And then after that, it was like, well, we talked to you about VCW. I'd looked at coming down to VCW even before we'd actually talked to you. So once we knew that there was, and I can't find the name of this online, it's Lucky 7, it's something like a Battle Royale or Lucky 7 Royale.
Yeah, it was the Lucky 7 Battle Royale.
Okay.
That's what it was called.
So we decided, yeah, we definitely want to see that. We definitely want to come down and talk to you about that one. All right, Mason, what can you remember about this one then? This is going back, I think this was a month ago.
Yeah, in the match you were in, so it was, yeah, I like that we saw Jake Hollister, who was also in Nova Pro.
We did, yep.
Yeah, and so it was a battle royal, but yeah, before the match, we said that what if it was Diamond Victor Griff and Benjamin Banks left for the match? And the last 3 were Benjamin Banks, Diamond Victor Griff, Big Sean Studd. Sean Studd got eliminated, and it was Benjamin and Griff.
It was.
I never actually thought I would see them fighting each other, but they did, and Benjamin got the upper hand, and now he's last in the Liberty Lottery.
Correct, and you kept a very good poker face, because we discussed this with you as well. We said, it'd be really cool if you two got to the last 2. What would you do if that happened? And yeah, you played it cool. We had no idea. Now, we also had sort of 3 horses in that race anyway, because I actually did buy a shirt from Sean Studd. You were going to buy one, didn't have one in your size, so I said, well, I'll buy one anyway. So it got to the last 3, and it was all 3 who we had a connection with, so it was kind of cool. And yeah, like you said, now that means for you, Benjamin, that you actually have the number 20 slot in the Liberty Lottery coming up. Is that correct? All right. Now, what else do you remember about that match? Because I got a few things that I remember that Mason didn't talk about. Is there anything that you specifically remember about that last match that we saw you in?
Sean Stud, he lifted me all the way up in the air, and I wasn't expecting that. There was a picture that was taken from that match where Sean Stud he gave me a headbutt, and I had fell back from it, but Jonathan McLeod, who took the photo, it looks like I'm in the Matrix.
It does.
Like the way that I was falling down, it looked like I was in the Matrix, and one of my friends, he took the photo and edited it. So remember the scene in the Matrix where Neo was dodging a bullet? He made it that I was dodging a bullet. So
absolutely.
I remember too that when Sean Stud choke slammed me, that everybody went out of the ring when I came down. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But honestly, going into that battle royal, I expected that it was going to come down to me, Griff, or Sean Stud. And, me and Griff, it's like we're the golden pinky. We're like brothers. So it's like, of course, we were going to work together to take out Stud. It's not like I was going to turn my back on, my best friend. So,
like
brothers, it's like they fight each other. They fight amongst each other. And it was all in good sportsmanship. You know what I'm saying?
So not like Brie Bella and Nikki Bella in the Women's Royal Rumble?
No, it was nothing like that. It was nothing like that. I mean, because you even see, like, after the match, me and Griff were pinking each other. So.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I was going to mention. Yeah, I actually made the Matrix comment because I thought that, and I'd actually forgotten that. That wasn't the thing that I was thinking of. I was thinking of a couple of things. One was that chokeslam that you talked about, because that was just wow. That the reverberations around the ring and people diving over the top, it was impressive. It was really impressive. And the other one I was going to talk about that Mason didn't talk about is when it came down to the last two. And you took out Griff, so you won. And then Griff came back. Now, we've got our shirts on right now, which says the Golden Pinky Society, which we just bought from you that very day. And we're like, is the Golden... everybody's got their Golden Pinky. We were worried, like, is it over? Are they already finished?
Did we buy a shirt for
did we buy this shirt for no reason at all? Is it all over? But then Griff came straight back in and he offered you a hand. So we're like, oh, this is good. But then you turned his hand down. He offered you a handshake and you turned it down. But anyway, you gave him the pinky instead. I was like, I'm not going to give you a handshake, but I'm going to give you the pinky. So everything was good from that.
And that's where I noticed that it looked like a diamond when you put the two pinkies together.
I'm gonna have to look at some photos now. And please don't say any of this to Griff, because if you do, his hair's gonna get really big. Let's just keep this between us.
Well, luckily he's not on social media, so he's not gonna pick up on any of this stuff. So unless he hears this on Friday, that's gonna be the only way.
Me and Griff, we were just at a radio station the other day, and when we were being interviewed on the radio, the guy asked him. He's like, so are you on social media? And like when he said it, I started laughing because I'm like, yeah, Griff's not on social media. And he came out with this long excuse saying why he's not on social media. And he says if you do want to find him on social media, you need to create a MySpace account. And I keep telling him, I'm like, bro, nobody uses MySpace. Nobody's gonna create a MySpace account to come talk to you, man.
You've probably never even heard of MySpace, have you? I didn't even have a MySpace account. That's how far back that goes. So so that means that you are going to be in the Liberty Lottery. You are going to be number 20, and that's really the match that we're going to see. But we had some time on our hands that weekend, so we're like, sure, let's go down. Now, one thing that we missed, and I thought you were going to mention this at the start, the weather was absolutely atrocious on that drive down. It was supposed to be about 2.5 hours. I think it took us closer to 4. There was periods of time where we could only go at 20 miles an hour on the interstate, because I've never seen rain like that before. And I think you had a question that linked into that you were talking about, Mason. So do you want to ask Benjamin your question? Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had any bad weather going to a wrestling event or something like that?
Or I guess any stories in general, any problems getting to a wrestling? Has there ever been any ones where you've only arrived like perhaps minutes before you were supposed to wrestle or anything like that?
Well, I mean, like, I won't say like the weather's ever, made me, get to a show late or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But there has been a couple of times where I've had to wrestle in North Carolina, and it's like this one promotion. It's like I don't know what it is, but every time I wrestle at this promotion, it always rains really, really bad. And then the thing about going down to North Carolina is that some of the roads down there, they don't have any street lights. So when it gets really dark, it's like you can't see anything. And then it's but you know what? The plus side of it, even though it sucks that it's raining, the plus side is you don't have to worry about any deer or any wildlife out on the road at night. But yeah, it sucks. And especially after daylight savings time, like when it gets dark really early, like that sucks too. So yeah, put the darkness in with the rain. Yeah.
Particularly in this area as well. When you're in Northern Virginia, the traffic around the Beltway, it can get just crazy. All right, so let's move on to the main thing. So this is what's coming up. Now, I went back, and I talked with you a little bit about this, but I wanted to see this for myself now. The 27 Liberty Lottery. Now, unfortunately, Mason's got to stay quiet for this section because he's actually lost his podcast for a few weeks because of poor behavior and poor choices. And he was actually allowed back. He got to watch Extreme Rules at the weekend because he was well behaved. And then, unfortunately, he was a little bit rude with his mother on Monday. So he didn't get to watch the 2017 Liberty Lottery with me because he was going to be contributing to this. So you're going to be learning something at the same time, Mason. So you're going to have to just listen and learn on this, and you can interject with questions if it's not clear. Okay, so first of all, Benjamin, can you remind us how the Liberty Lottery works? What's the format for this?
So pretty much how the Liberty Lottery works is 20 guys, it's a 20-man battle royal, and pretty much the fans, they pick the names out of like not a hat, but it's like a jar. So it's all random draw, and then whatever number you come out at is the number. I mean, whatever number that the fan chooses is the number that you come out at.
Correct.
So last year at the Liberty Lottery, I came out at number 5, and when I heard that I was coming out at number 5, I was like, "Are you serious?" Because every Liberty Lottery that I've been in before that, I've always come out like towards the end, and like it's like I'm sitting there waiting, I'm just like yes, I always come out at the end. But when I got number 5, I was like, "Are you serious?"
So how much notice do you get? Is it literally like the 60 seconds? Is that how much notice you get, or do they draw a few numbers ahead of time? So you got perhaps like a few minutes.
No, it's all right then and right there. I mean, like they of course they have a countdown before the wrestlers come out, but it's like say for example, if Mason, if they came up to you and said, "Hey, just pull a name out of the bowl," and you pull out Benjamin Banks, and they're at the number 10 wrestler that's supposed to come out, then I'm going to be the number 10 wrestler. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you don't get much notice.
So in the back, you all have to crowd together so the next person just can go because they're already right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, I went ahead and I actually subscribed to the VCW network because we are going to see the 2018, but I wanted to see a 2017 one. And particularly, and as I knew you won this as well, I wanted to see what it was like. Now, actually, at the start, it was the I don't know who the two people were who were doing the commentary because I'm not familiar with that setup right now. But it actually had that headline. It said, "Don't ask him if wrestling is fake." So you actually made the first scene actually on the pay-per-view, as it were. And the commentator actually referred to you as a choke artist as well. So I'm guessing you were a heel at that point, but you didn't have a good reputation going in, that's for sure. Now, once the match had started, the thing that I noticed was, and I don't know the person's name, and you might be able to help me on this, Sean Studd, who we talked about earlier, he was really dominant. He was taking out a lot of people, but he had his teammate with him as well, or somebody who was helping him. So I guess one of my questions was, alliances, they've got to be pretty important in things like that, right? It was important for them. It's important for you and Victor Griff as well, right?
Yes, they are.
Now, the thing that surprised me about this one was actually it looked like, for all intents and purposes, that Sean Studd and his partner were going to get down to the last two, probably with you. And then he turned on his teammate, and he actually threw him over the top rope. And his teammate was not very happy about this at all, and actually went back in and actually dragged Sean Studd over the top rope, which left it with only about 5 people. And for me, it was pretty plain sailing for you there. Now, I actually thought about it at this point. There's only about 5 people left. Were you ever in any trouble at all? I don't even remember a single moment. Normally there's people like who've been thrown over the top rope, and then they scramble back under the middle rope. Were you in any trouble at all in this whole tournament? Because I don't remember a single instance.
Honestly, I wasn't, and that was really surprising to me because usually in battle royals, it's like you always try to go after the biggest person in there,
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that because there was so many big guys in the Battle Royal, I guess like the smaller guys were just trying to just fend for themselves. Now, I know that there was a couple of guys that tried to eliminate me, but they just couldn't lift me over the rope. And one of those guys was Ken Dixon.
Yep.
He tried to eliminate me, and I knocked him down. One of those guys was Irvin Legend. One of those guys was Juggernaut.
Yep.
Like they tried to knock me down, but they couldn't do it. I mean, Juggernaut got close. You know, I mean, he's a pretty big guy, but
yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I helped eliminate Juggernaut. That's right. Yeah.
Now, Juggernaut was an interesting one for me because one of our Nova Pro episodes we talked about, we didn't know one of the wrestlers, and we were asking like people behind, like, who is that? And somebody said it's Juggernaut, and I looked that up later, and I couldn't find anyone called Juggernaut, and we did find out he has a different name at Nova Pro. So I remember quoting what it was, and I follow him on Twitter now, and I can't remember for the life of me what his name was. Oh, that's it, yeah, The One, something like that. Yes, that's it. And and when that name came up, I was like, it was like the jigsaw finally fit back together again. So that made perfect sense to me.
Was it the guy that they were yelling Fresh Prince?
No, it was the guy who was trying to get a date with Lainey Luck. I think that's her name.
Yeah, wasn't he he was just in a tag team match with Bo Crockett.
That's the one. That was what it was. So that's how they piece it together. Now, you did say you came in at number 5. So was stamina an issue for this one?
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, so it's like being there, like pretty much at the beginning of the whole Rumble, the whole Liberty Lottery. It was definitely a test of time, like just having to stay in there that long and just picking the moments when I needed to eliminate somebody and playing on the defensive part in the Liberty Lottery. And a lot of the time, it was defense. You know what? Griff was in that Liberty Lottery too, and we did work together a lot.
Did? Yep.
When we were in there together, but then he ended up getting eliminated. So
he went out with about 7 people to go, I think it was. But yeah, you two were definitely working together to begin with, which definitely, I guess that helps your stamina when you got somebody there who's doing half the work as well.
Yeah, but it definitely. I know this year for the Liberty Lottery, because I've been in the gym a lot lately. My stamina's going to definitely be up when I go into this one. So, here's the hoping that your boy is going to come on top again. Because I don't know, what, actually, I do know some of the competition that's going to be in this Liberty Lottery.
Okay.
Like, if you've seen, like, on the BCW Facebook page, they've announced some of the people. And one of the guys that's going to be in the Liberty Lottery is Gangrel.
It is, and I was going to ask you about that if you knew who was in. Now, I've seen a few of those people as well. Gangrel's in. Brian Pillman Jr. has mentioned, he actually mentioned in the event that we were at that he was going to appear, even though he was technically injured. That's Flying Brian's son. Brandon Scott's going to be in there as well. Kevin Thorne, who I don't actually know, but he said he did appear in WWE. And once again, your nemesis, Big Sean Studd's going to be there as well. So we know a few of the names. And we know Swoggle's going to be there as well, but he's going to be in tag team action. He won't be. I guess he could appear in more than one match, so that's certainly a possibility as well.
But I'm also supposed to be having a match against Sean Studd too at the Liberty Lottery.
Oh, you have a match, and wow. Well, is that for a particular reason?
No, we're just having a match because he was pissed off at the fact that me and Griff worked together to eliminate him, and since I won the Lucky 7 Battle Royal, he wants to take his frustrations out on me. 2 big guys.
So you can tire Big Sean Studd out, but you can just chill in the back till number 20.
Yeah, if you give him a long match, that's got to be to your advantage. Oh, interesting. Oh, I didn't know that you had 2 matches. I thought that was just I know there are exceptions to this. Now, after I'd watched that one, now, I tried to look on Cage Match to find out which other ones you were in, and I couldn't find. Unfortunately, it doesn't list the whole entrance card for the whole thing. Now, one thing caught my eye. I went to the 2014 Liberty Lottery, which Sean Denny won. And the reason I watched that was I saw that Jean-Jean Le Bon was in there. Now, Jean-Jean Le Bon is the masked character who's appeared at Nova Pro a couple of times. We don't really know the story. We know the gated community offered a reward for anybody who could give information to who it was. And then he hasn't appeared for like the last 3 things. So that certainly caught my eye. So I started watching it. And there was a few things that were different. One was, this was every 90 seconds, and the 2017 was every 60 seconds. So is that something that changes each year? Do you know how long it's going to be this year?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Okay.
Honestly, I never even noticed the time and the seconds for the wait time.
Okay.
The entrance of the line.
Now, the other thing was, as I went to watch this, I went straight to the end, because the Liberty Lottery was the main event last year. And when I went to the main event for 2014, it wasn't. It was actually Victor Griff. He was actually fighting Dirty Money for the VCW Heavyweight Championship. So that's another thing that changes as well. The Liberty Lottery wasn't even a main event, which really surprised me, actually. So I didn't actually see the result for this one, because I did want to skip straight to the other thing. Now, the thing I thought was interesting about this was, watch the WWE Extreme Rules this weekend. One of the things they were talking about was lengths of matches. There were some very short matches. Nakamura match was like 6 seconds long. The Oscar match was very short as well. And also the placement of the matches as well. I think everyone thought Roman Reigns was going to be the main event, and then actually it was actually something different. And just happened I watched the 2014 Liberty Lottery, and two of those same issues came up. The times changed, 60 seconds and 90 seconds, and the placement of where the main event was as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting that overlapped on that. Now, the other thing that was also different, so we talked about when we came to see you had a 7-person match to decide who was going to come number 20. In 2014, there was actually a 3-way match to decide who would become number 20. So it was Bobby Shields, Brandon Scott, and Sean Denny. The winner got number 20. The losers got first and second, which I thought was kind of interesting as well.
Oh.
I thought that was a nice twist. So I don't know if that's something they do different each year as well. But I thought that was kind of interesting. So Bobby Shields actually got to do commentary while he was waiting to come in. So I'm kind of wondering, is that something that you're going to get a chance to do? You're going to get a chance to be a commentator?
Hey, you never know. I don't know. It's like I'm already wrestling Sean Studd that night, so hey.
Yep.
While after that match and then while the Liberty Lottery's going on, since I know that I'm going to be the last person out there, I might just chill commentary table. And of course, Griff is already going to be out there in the ring, so I'll just be on the commentary table talking about my best friend.
You're building such a cliffhanger right now.
Yeah, he's keeping it very... Now, they did do that in 2017, so we don't know that's something that happens every year. Now, interestingly, with it being Bobby Shields, the person who he was commentating about was his buddy, Logan Easton LaRoe, who was actually Mr. Class at this point. So this was the other reason I watched it. There was a lot of Nova Pro people in this. They talked about John Kerman coming in. He actually never came in at all. Who else was there? Bo Crockett was also there as well. So there was a lot of people who I recognized in this one. All right, let's see what I noticed about this one. Now, I watched it and I was like, well, Benjamin's not in this one. That's fine. And then who came out? Andre Jackson came out. So now I'm assuming then from the commentary then, this was your debut in VCW. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
And I'm sure you talked, and I was like, oh, of course, because it's the Jacksons, which is the $20 bill, and then the Benjamins is 100. So I think we talked about this last time, but I just didn't recognize it because it was a few months ago. And the commentator said, I think this is the debut for this person, and there was a lot of speculating as to who you were. And what can you remember about that entrance?
I was pretty hyped.
Mm-hmm.
It was my debut at VCW.
Yep.
When I first started my wrestling career, the second indie wrestling show that I had went to was a VCW show. So for me to finally make my debut for the company, it was really cool. And then for the response that I got from the crowd when I came out there, like that was pretty cool as well. And
yeah.
It's like there were so many fans that were surprised to see me come out there. And another thing that was kind of cool about this was the girl that I was dating at the time. She always came to the wrestling shows that I went to, but for this particular show, she wasn't there with me. So it's kind of like if she was there, people would have known that. Oh, okay, yeah, like he's gonna be wrestling tonight. But because she wasn't there, it was even more of a surprise.
Now, you actually made it to the last 4 people, as far as I can tell. We always have a little quiz on our podcast, and we actually didn't do one this time, because we actually did a prediction show. So, here's your quiz, Benjamin. Can you remember either of the 2 people who eliminated you on your debut? And it took 2 people.
I remember the 2 people very well.
Okay.
It was Shorty Smalls.
Yes.
And Asaki.
It was.
Yeah, Shorty Smalls is in Nova Pro.
He is. We've seen him in Nova Pro as well. Now, also, the one that was really funny for me as well, number 20th entry was Bobby Shields, who, like I said, had been on commentary the whole time, was showing off, was talking about Logan Easton LaRoe. He, when he came in at 20, he walked straight into the ring, 2 people grabbed him, ran into the opposite side of the ring, and threw him straight over the top rope. The commentary team said it was the quickest elimination in VCW Liberty Lottery history. He was probably shorter than the Nakamura. It must have been like 5 seconds in total. Of course, he was very upset by that as well. Now, have you been in any other Liberty Lotteries then? Because, like I say, I have the VCW package, but I couldn't find out which ones you were going to be in.
Yeah, I was in the 15, I was in the 16,
Okay.
and I won 17. And like I said, too, do you remember what number I came out at in the first one? Wasn't it like 14? I think?
It was towards the end, yeah. There wasn't many people left. I don't have the exact number, but yeah, 14 sounds about right.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, is like every Liberty Lottery that I've been in, I've always come out like towards the end. So the 2015 Liberty Lottery, I came out, I think I was number 16, either 16 or 17 in that one. And then in the 2016 one, I want to say I came out at number 15. And then, of course, last year I came out at number 5. So I was just like, like, for real? Like what fan pulled my name out? Like, for real?
Now, actually, you answered some of our questions already, so I'm gonna skip to the last part. So, anyone else who wants to come and see this, the 12th Liberty Lottery, it's going to be on Saturday, July 28th. Bell rings at 7:30. I think it said doors open at 6 or 6:30. I'm not quite sure. I believe it's at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia, because that's where we went to see our last match, Mason. Ringside seats are $25. General admission is $20. And kids under 5 are free, and that's why Jackson's coming with us. He's going to get to see a match. So we're not going to be as close this time, because we want Jackson to be there, but we don't want him to experience the violence quite as much. So we're going to sit right in the back row. He gets a sense of what's happening, but he can't see what's real and what's not real. So we'll certainly be there as a 3. Well, Jackson and Daddy will definitely be there. If Mason's behavior is good, he will be joining us, but we're going to have to...
Mason, you better be good, man. You need to keep your nose clean. You need to keep your nose extra clean.
I'm going to keep playing that clip back to you when there's any sign of you doing something wrong, okay? I'm going to get Benjamin's voice.
That's one thing that me and Griff always tell people. It's like when you being bad or when you're doing wrong, you just need to keep your nose clean, because there's always somebody watching. And I know it's the summertime, and I know you're a little too excited, you're a little happy, man. But yeah, just chill, relax.
All right, now we do have some questions from some of our fans as well. Mags and Bags at Dej Kirby asked, who would be your dream opponent?
My dream opponent would be The Rock. The reason why he would be my dream opponent is because he's the person who really brought me back into, watching wrestling when I was younger. And, he's kind of like who I based the Benjamin Banks, going from before Benjamin Banks, my D-Money persona, he's who I really prefer, trade my D-Money persona after.
And I was 50% sure on that one. Now, the second one, I said, I think we can answer this one. So I'm going to answer, and you can tell us if we're wrong on this one. His second question was, what's the most memorable moment of your wrestling career so far? I'm going to guess Liberty Lottery 2017.
That is a really good moment in my career. But I would probably have to say the most memorable moment is when Jerry Stephanisis was still my manager.
Okay.
And me and him were out on stage, and I had just who did I beat? It was at the Let's Cup. It was I believe it was Mark Denny. Okay, I believe it was Mark Denny. I had just defeated him to advance in the Let's Cup, and me and Jerry were on stage celebrating. And at the time, I was feuding with Livid the Clown, and because our backs were turned, Livid had a pie, and he hit Jerry in the face with the pie. And so because of when he got hit with the pie, and the pie exploded everywhere, so I had pie all on my back. And when I turned around, Livid was just standing there laughing at the both of us, and Jerry was on his knees, and I was holding him, and he had cream all over his face. And then all of a sudden, Ron Simmons came out there, and I was like, look, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. And then everybody was just like, oh yes it is. Oh yes it is. And then he said his catchphrase, and I was just like, But it was just so cool to be a part of that, because it's like I grew up watching Ron Simmons, and he was the first black heavyweight champion. So it was cool, have that moment with him, and to say that, hey, I got to do something with Ron Simmons. So that was a pretty cool moment. But winning the Liberty Lottery is definitely in my top five. I would say that another moment that's in my top five is getting a team up with Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Moment as well, because it's like as a kid, like I used to tell people suck it all the time. So it was really cool getting a team up with them.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine.
Like
Now, there was one other person who I thought would ask a question, but he actually tells me he's going to be talking to you on another occasion. So, the Matt Attack UK says, so he's saving his questions for another time. So, I'll make sure I'll listen in for those ones. I did want to mention as well, and I forgot about this, he also has that shirt now as well. I think we included you on the tweet when we were in England a few weeks ago. So, he's actually got the Golden Pinky Society started in England as well.
I seen it. Like I told Griff earlier, I was just like, yeah, man, the Golden Pinky Society is gone international.
Yeah, it certainly has. We did the Pinkies Up picture. Jackson's in there as well, and I know he loves the fact that it's a very unique shirt, and it's going to be difficult. There's not going to be many people in England, if any at all, at this point, who's going to have that shirt, because I think it was new when we got it. I think they'd only just sort of come out. Yeah, we managed to get it overseas pretty quickly, so that was pretty cool. Now, the other thing, he tried to help me, and he didn't do me any favors at all on this. He retweeted that we wanted questions, and he said, make sure you put the hashtag Pinkies Up. Now, I'm not quite sure how Twitter works exactly, but I put the hashtag Pinkies Up, and it doesn't put them in order of when the comment is. It seems to put them in a random order. There was thousands of these comments. I scrolled through. I could have spent a whole day looking through comments with Pinkies Up, people drinking their tea, people drink all sorts of different things. So it's very possible that there might be additional questions for you, and we didn't find them. It's a very popular hashtag. What we needed to do was probably put next time. We'll tell this to Matt next time. He needs to put something like hashtag Pinkies Up MGB, and then that would have been a lot easier to find, and there wouldn't have been as many as that. All right, well, thank you very much for all your time again, Benjamin. We'll certainly see you in. So, once again, just to make sure we got all the details, it's July 28th, the 12th Liberty Lottery. It's at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia. All right, thank you very much, Benjamin.
Bye.
Oh, the sound went at that point. We can't hear you again, Benjamin, so that was actually about perfect. Oh, you're back. That was perfect.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was ZigZag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0, http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
This is our follow-up interview with Benjamin Banks. We talked to Benjamin, I think it was episode 7. I just looked on Skype, Benjamin. It was April last time we talked, so it's 3 months later. So how are you doing today anyway?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just chilling right now. I worked earlier, and now I'm just relaxing. I'm going to the gym later on, like after I rest. So I'm really tired.
Uh-huh.
I'm sore.
Oh,
I'm working out a lot, so yeah.
I hear you on that one, yeah.
That's how it is sometimes.
And we got an extra person with us today. I know you can see us because we're talking on Skype. So we got Jackson here with us today as well. This is actually now we're going to go technical, Jay. We're recording. We got Skype on. We got 2 different screens. Matt Willis has asked that I record this next section, so this is for your benefit, Matt. Okay. All right. Now we know, Benjamin. You know that Jackson has his own little songs that he likes to sing, right? Because we tagged you in one of the posts. Now he's actually got a special one for you. So he's going to do his live versions, or he's going to try and do his live versions. All right. Do you want to do your first song? Benjamin doesn't know you're going to do this one at all. Do you remember the first word? Go ahead.
Happy.
Go on. Keep singing. Happy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. birthday today. Yeah. Benjamin.
You're too quiet though, buddy. He can't hear when you do that. He was practicing earlier. He wanted to say, whose birthday is it today, Jack?